Hey, Pokemon Masters, Birdkeeper Toby here. Sitting next to me is a Stantler here in Nara Park, or as you might know it, Violet City. I just beat the gym leader, Falconer, who's a birdkeeper like me, and after beating him, I got a call from Professor Elm. See, Mr. Pokemon had this mysterious discovery, a Pokemon egg that was left for a trainer like me. I believe Mr. Pokemon got this egg from the Kimono Girls, but what were they doing with it? And what's the mystery behind Togepi in Johto? Now, this theory was created by the incredible Ruin Maniac Files, who's actually editing this very video, and I'm just transcribing it for you here. It is one of my favorite and definitely one of the least talked about theories in the whole of the Pokemon world. But before we talk about Togepi, we have to talk about those Kimono Girls. The Kimono Girls, of course, appear in ExHappyFace City in Johto. They are kimono dancers, and through dance and songs, they pray and commune with Ho-Oh. They are worshippers of Ho-Oh and descendants of the people who created the Ruins of Alf. This ties them not only to the Johto region, but also to the Tanboy ruins in the Sevi Islands, but also to the Salacion ruins in the north in ancient Hisui. It's possible that they are connected to the Draconid people and the Diamond and Pearl clans that traveled north, as well as the Celestica people that traveled north before them. They are guardians of history, but what makes them really interesting is that they are actually sisters. They're all related. They're Bill's sisters, the creator of the Pokemon PC system. He gives you an EV, and they are all evolution specialists. Almost every evolution is represented, apart from Glaceon, Leafeon, and Sylveon. But they don't all live in ExHappyFace City. Valerie lives in the Kalos region, despite the fact that we know that she came from Johto. A dialogue in Pokemon Masters suggests that she's not a true Kimono girl, but perhaps at least spiritually, she is the Sylveon user. Erica, according to the Pokemon manga, is the daughter of the head of Silphco, another industry with ties to Infinity Energy and the life force of Pokemon, and she may well be the kimono-wearing girl who is the Leafeon specialist. Leafeon can be seen on her team at certain times, and in the manga, she has a connection with an Eevee. What's interesting to note is that when it comes to the Kimono Girls of ExHappyFace, their father worked on the Sea Marvel project, which has its ties to the Devon Corporation. In Pokemon Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire, when obtaining the Clear or Tidal Bell, Captain Stern will mention that someone came over from the Johto region, a young lad who worked under him, whose family had this bell, and that they passed down a special form of dance. And this was when working on the Sea Marvel project, a project designated to using the life force of Pokemon inside the form of Infinity Energy. I actually found such a mythical bell while exploring the Pokemon world myself, and I also found out more about Infinity Energy when exploring the Ruins of Alf. Pokemon Masters, behind me is the Ruins of Alf, now a popular tourist site for people passing through, but a long time ago, a special place of worship to a Pokemon that is unknown to us. There are also depictions of ancient fossil Pokemon and even the legendary Pokemon Ho-Oh. But who exactly worshipped Ho-Oh? What was it all about? I know this is a little bit of a sidetrack from Togepi and the missing Kimono Girl, and I promise we will get back to them. First, we need to talk about this, the Ruins of Alf and the Sinjoh ruins, built to the north of Johto as a merging of the cultures of the people of Sinnoh and Johto. This is why the architecture of this place in many ways matches that of old Hisui and the Spear Pillar, but also we can see the worn down Rhydon statues which are found in the Ruins of Alf. But if the Sinjoh ruin event is all about Arceus, then what's that got to do with the Ruins of Alf and the depiction we see there of Ho-Oh? Well, everything. Because Arceus in this event, that you can only access via going to the Ruins of Alf with your Arceus, uses the power of a Pokemon called the Unown. The Unown, normally weak by themselves, come in a plentiful amount, and they use their powers together to manipulate life energy. There they create eggs of the creation trio, Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina at level 1. The Ruins of Alf then, with their depiction of Ho-Oh and fossil ancient Pokemon, might be telling the story of Ho-Oh's ability to revive long-lost Pokemon? But we know from Johtonian legend that Ho-Oh did resurrect 3 lost Pokemon, lost in the tower that burnt down. They became Raikou, Entei, and Suicune, and no, I'm just gonna say it here, I think they probably didn't look like their Paradox forms before they were resurrected. But according to its Pokedex, Ho-Oh doesn't actually have this power by itself. What seems more likely is that when this tragedy occurred, the people of ExHappyFace City of that age, likely the Kimono Girls that were existing in the city then, borrowed the power of Ho-Oh Ho-Oh, or rather they worshipped Ho-Oh, and Ho-Oh borrowed the power of the unknown, using their creation power to bring life to Raikou, Entei, and Suicune. This idea is further explored in Pokemon Crystal. There's a specific line of dialogue from a sage that suggests a particular connection to Suicune. It is the unknown that are a life-giver Pokemon. In the third movie, they're even depicted as a legendary Pokemon in a book full of Pokemon legends. Again, not too dissimilar to the Scarlet and Violet book, though again, I truly believe that the Raikou, Entei, and Suicune that perished in the tower did not look like the Raikou and Suicune paradox forms that we know about, and the Entei that I'm sure will be joining soon. Still, it seems that the unknown have an incredible godly power, and there are certain Pokemon like Arceus and Ho-Oh that can tap into this power, and by worshipping to these Pokemon, the Kimono Girls of old were able to help the 3 Pokemon that perished in the tower, perhaps their own Vaporeon, Flareon, and Jolteon, and they brought about Suicune, Entei, and Raikou. Before I move on and finally get to Togepi, I do have one last thought about the unknown, admittedly unrelated to this theory. Okay, Pokemon Masters, so I'm walking around the ruins, I'm checking out the cool excavations that they've got going on here, and I've been thinking about the Pokemon Wobbuffet. Wobbuffet is a Pokemon that biologically isn't like other Pokemon. It's not a mammal or a reptile or a fish. Its biology is said to be that of singularly the tail. The tail that before it was Wobbuffet was, of course, Wynaut, the black shape with one eye. I'm wondering if perhaps Wobbuffet's closest living relative is its closest relative in the Pokedex order. I wonder if it's related to the unknown. Yes, you see, Wobbuffet is Pokemon number 202 in the Pokedex, right next to 201, the unknown. When you look to Wobbuffet's tail, it alone doesn't look that much like an unknown, but when you look at its pre-evolution Wynaut, it looks, well, a lot more recognizable. Wobbuffet's Pokedex entry talks about how it desperately tries to keep its black tail hidden. This behavior is said to be proof that its tail hides a secret. It is a defensive Pokemon, its body taking hits, because, again, the tail is the real Pokemon. It can take the hits because the rest of the body of Wobbuffet does exactly what it's designed to do, be a defense mechanism for the tail. Wynaut, according to its Pokedex entries, huddle together. They're very communal, much like the unknown. It seems likely that the unknown took this form to further explore the Johto region and the rest of the Pokemon world. It's a mysterious Pokemon, and when it comes to Wynaut, it can only really be found in the wild on Mirage Island, Mirage Island, and that's not too dissimilar to the other baby Pokemon that is a bit of a mystery that we're finally going to get to, that being Togepi. But before I can get onto that, I should finally reveal to you who the missing evolution Glaceon user is when it comes to the Kimono Girls. Knowing who she is will make Togepi's role in all of this a lot clearer. But the Kimono Girls are traditionalists, and they strive for joy and peace between people and Pokemon. They're not looking to use technology for evil or humanistic gains. So we still have a missing user here, Glaceon, and I previously mentioned that perhaps it was Bryson of the Unova region, but Bruin Maniac makes a much better and more compelling argument. Cynthia is the Glaceon user. She uses Glaceon on her team in Pokemon Black and Black and White 2, and she is from an ancient law-keeping clan, those found in Celestic Village. In the Sinjoh Ruins event, she tells you about the Kimono people's ability to dance and sing to commune with godly Pokemon. The Sinjoh Ruins created as a merger of the people of Sinnoh and the people of Johto. Additionally, she uses a number of Pokemon that are very important to the lore of the Pokemon world. Lucario can sense great aura, a tie to the life force of Pokemon. Spiritomb was literally made out of angry spirits of Pokemon being bound to an odd keystone. This happened at the Sea Marvel. And then she has Togekiss, a very rare and unique Pokemon, the evolution of Togepi. Togepi is found very rarely in the Pokemon world. According to its Pokedex entries, it and its evolutionary line only like to appear in times of great peace. It's actually quite peculiar that Volo has one in Legends Arceus, though that might be a whole other thing. And Togepi are mysterious. Perhaps they're an ancient Pokemon. They can learn ancient power in their evolution line after all, and Ash finds the Togepi egg in the animated series at part of a fossil excavation site. We know Togepi can open portals to Mirage worlds where Togepi live together, and I've already done a Pokemon Epic talking about exactly how Togepi might be related to Latias and Latios, further tying it to the dragon clans of the Pokemon world. But Cynthia just has a Togepi egg, as did Mr. Pokemon in Johto. Cynthia will give you this Pokemon egg, and Mr. Pokemon gives it to you, well, gives it to Professor Elm, who gives it to you, but he got it from the Kimono Girls. And sure enough, there's another NPC in the Sevi Islands near to the Tanboy Ruins who will give you a Togepi egg. Probably again, Mr. Pokemon who got the egg from the Kimono Girls. So what's the connection between the Kimono Girls and Togepi? Well, in the Sinnoh region, where Cynthia lives, her home, it's Celestic Town. And at the center of Celestic Town, there is a shrine that looks a lot like the shrine of Ilex Forest. This is a shrine to Celebi, and if you take the GS ball here in Pokemon Crystal version on the Virtual Console, Celebi will appear. Celebi is the final legend of Johto, and so far every legendary Pokemon in the Johto region has in some way had its connection to the Kimono Girls, be it the legendary beasts Lugia or Ho-Oh. Celebi is no exception. And it too has Pokedex entries talking about how it likes to appear in peaceful times, much like the Togepi evolution line. But it also has another interesting Pokedex entry. In Silver version, it says that when Celebi disappears deep in a forest, it is said to leave behind an egg that it brought from the future. So maybe Togepi eggs aren't from the ancient past at all, but instead are from a more peaceful time, far in the future. Symbols of optimism for the lore keepers and Kimono Girls of the modern age, that one day things will get better, as long as Celebi keeps bringing these eggs from the future and we give them to trainers who have good intent. Again, I have no idea why Volo has one of these Pokemon.
Hello there, it's me, Professor Oak. This video is over, so please choose another one wisely and quickly. Bye-bye.
Just the biggest thank you to those of you who've been supporting this channel on Patreon, including the big patrons of this month, Jed Rubin, Charmander Ansel, Anthony Lee, and the Alligator. Thank you so much.